Roll call.
Mayor Laura,
Present.
Vice Mayor Langy,
Present.
Commissioner Parsons,
Present.
Commissioner Vasquez,
Here.
Commissioner Warren.
Here.
We have quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Invocation. Pastor Garcia. Thank you.
Commissioners, staff, Mayor, thank you for the privilege to come and to pray with you tonight on behalf of the Liberal Ministerial Alliance. At this time, I would ask if we could all just bow our head in reverence to the Lord and let us pray together. Father God, we come to you in prayer tonight with thankfulness, Lord, for this day that you have given us. Father God, I thank you for the freedom and the privilege to come and to pray for our commissioners, for the staff, all the employees of our city. And Father God, I want to thank you once again for this opportunity to pray for each one of them. And Father God, tonight, I especially pray for our police, our law enforcement, our first responders, our fire department. Father God, we hold up all our city workers to you as they beautify my home, our home. Father God, I thank you and I pray that you would be with their families, Lord. Tonight I pray for each one of you, for community support, for God's wisdom and reassurance as each one of you work to accomplish your duties and serve in our city, our community. And I pray for each one of you tonight with thankfulness for sharing your time, your wisdom, and having a heart of service and serving our community. And then once again, Lord, I pray for community support as each one serves to the best of their ability. Tonight I pray for their families, Father God, and I pray that you would take care of them also. And once again, Lord, thank you for this moment that we can come to you in prayer. And once again, I thank each for their sense of serviture. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Item number 1, awards, proclamations, and presentations. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 2, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the agenda as printed.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Warren. Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 3, the minutes, January 14th, 2025, regular meeting minutes.
I'll make a motion we approve the January 14th, 2025 regular meeting minutes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Warren. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 4, items from citizens. Are there any items from citizens tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 5, items from groups. Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 6, the consent agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. I have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Parson. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 7, the liberal airfare request.
Good evening. Everybody ready for an air show this year?
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I'm Blake Prosser, the air show director. This is Tracy King, the ramp boss, and airfare committee member. And we're planning on an air show October 4th. one-day show, afternoon show, and then an evening show, and we're just basically here to get formal permission to use the airport and the museum.
Was this as well as the request on the different fence perimeters and
Yes.
permanent fencing? Have we had conversations with PD, fire?
Yes. So we held a meeting yesterday morning with PD, fire, and the airport. They're all here tonight with some items that they would like to present to you in order to meet the request of the airfare committee. If you would like them to approach, I think they're all ready with a draft on the emergency plan, information on fencing. We also have information on staffing as to the dollar amount for the overtime. So would you like for them to come up now? And okay. So fire, PD, airport.
Okay.
So
Well,
Kelly
yeah,
with
shut
fire spearheaded the emergency response plan. I will let him kind of give an overview of our meeting yesterday and
Okay. I was also approached about a week ago. Mr. Liddon from the Air Show Committee came, and they need a emergency response plan in place that they can submit to the FAA ahead of time. So we worked through that, the details of that. We've done this in the past for other airfares and air shows. It's something that we're capable of doing. Just spells out the requirements of what fire, law enforcement, and airport staff will be required to do, make the air show flow smoothly, and lays out the responsibilities of everyone while the show is going on with flights in the aerobatic box. So basically, we got all that drawn up, and it's, I think we've come up with a good draft of that meets the needs of all the parties involved. Scarlett has, and I believe you probably have a draft copy of that in hand. And probably the next step for that for us would be to present that at, I think, the next local emergency planning committee meeting, because it does reference in there that in the event of a disaster, the emergency manager would open up the EOC and activate the EOC. So we'll need to take that to the local emergency planning committee. And that will also allow us to involve Seward County EMS and any county entities that need to be involved as well. And that should tie up all the loose ends on the emergency plan. And it should be good to go for them to submit to the FAA so that we can proceed with the show from there. Any questions?
did you want to add anything, Jeff, for PD?
No, if you have any questions, police department plans about 6 officers at a time. We'd split that into 2 parts. The officers would have to work 10 to 12 hours outside, and that would be about $2,500 worth of salaries. And that'd include 1 officer in charge of that 6, which would be with the fire department and the air boss during aerobatics. What we would do is help corral people at entrance and exits, traffic control, answer any questions, lost kids, anything like that, unless something unpleasant would occur, then we would take care of that as well.
So we basically estimated 6 police officers, 8 firefighters, 4 airport staff, which equates to about $9,000 to $10,000 in overtime costs for the city. Brian, did you want to talk a little bit about the fencing?
Yeah. We've been tasked with putting up fencing around the Air Museum display. As of right now, we're gonna put up probably about 1,500 foot of permanent fencing. It'll be about 4 foot tall. This is to get ahead of FAA and TSA requirements that we probably will need to cordon that area off, so that way people just can't get out on the movement area. So that way, so that way people can't get out there. Keep people away from the airplanes, and that way we're ahead of them. They're also wanting to use 780 feet of the temporary. On the permanent fence, we're gonna put in the 20-foot gate on the north end, a 4-foot walk-through gate on the south southwest side. So that way we can get equipment in there and also people can walk in and out on the southwest side for if we need to do something out on that southwest side.
Will this all be just for the airfare events, or is this for, the museum itself as well, in case they have any other kind of events?
It'll be for both, yes. But the
So it would
permanent-
be,
the
it would be
permanent-
up for the air show, but then it would
Yes.
stay.
Yeah, the permanent fence will be permanent, so it won't come down. It'll be actually bolt in, in case we need to move it to put another plane in there if we ever get another plane. Or if we need to remove one, if the Air Force or Navy ever want to request to take one of their planes back, we can remove the fence to get one of their planes out.
That was gonna be my question, if the 20-foot gate was enough, you'll just take some fencing down to
Yes.
do that, though, because
Yes.
you have no idea how much, yeah.
Yeah, because it was going to cost too much to bore through the
bigger, yeah.
concrete, yeah. So-
And if, I think everybody had one of these in their packet.
Yeah.
So I think it was a consensus in the room that we do everything inside this fence, which cuts down on the amount of security that they have to have.
Yes.
And we do do you plan on funneling everybody through the museum?
Through the museum or the Third Street gate.
And we kind of talked about, instead of doing the Third Street gate, using
Using-
the other gate,
Using
on the
the,
south side of the museum.
Right there by the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would work also, yeah.
And parking, we talked about, you got the Air Museum, and we got those lots we can mow down, and you'll have plenty of parking on that side. So, and I don't know, Brian didn't mention, but the cost to bore the concrete was about double of bolting it in place. And this plan that you got, Tracy put his math mind together and come up with this. It's the exact same amount of fence that we were looking at, but it covers about twice the area that we were looking at. Because we were just gonna do where the airplanes are at. But on the very south side, it's just connected to the existing fence that's already there. And then coming up and putting I'm gonna call it the stem jet inside that fence.
yeah, because the first quote I got was 66,000, but that was coring. We took the coring out, it dropped it down to 33,000. So,
How does that get funded, the
we-
33,000?
We don't know yet at this time, we're still working on that, so.
The fence is something that's gonna be required eventually by FFA anyway.
Yes.
That's what I was wondering, I'm like, because it seems like you still had open access to the rest of the airport through that.
So I think right now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the FAA don't want people going from the museum out there
Right,
free willy. So I think Bob has to take them out there, and if he's shorthanded or something, then it puts him in a bind. But with this fence up, you know, you just open the door and they can go out there and not get any, I mean, they can if they want, but
at least it's kind of.
it's all contained in a containment area. So it'll be beneficial to the Air Museum too.
Brad, I also want to just reiterate the fact that sooner or later, the FAA is gonna require this fence. So we were just trying to maybe kill two birds with one stone here, get the fence up a little sooner. And speaking as the director, or the chairman of the airport board, we have talked about this fence now
Years.
for several years, where they let us put up some signage out there. But like you said, a museum person has to be with anybody that goes out to look at the outside displays.
Yeah.
If we get the fence put up, then it allows, patrons from the museum to go out and look at the, displays outside without being accompanied. So,
Brian, is there any issues with FAA making the fence be required to be more than 4 feet?
That was my question. Is 4 feet enough?
Not
Like
at
to be
this
almost
time, not at this time. We did have to do an aeronautical study on the 4-foot fence, and it passed, so
And the reason we went with 4 foot, because,
you could,
and not board in the concrete, 6-foot fence will be a tumbleweed catching.
Yeah.
And it'll bend that fence over unless we, poured the concrete and put the post in.
and made
And it'd
it
probably
a
still
lot
bend it
bigger,
over then.
and then our price
Way up.
starts going way up, so.
All right. This time, was there any other questions or information from any other department? This will be for Lynn. On the legal side, what kind of permission do we need to give them? Just make a motion?
I would make a motion to approve the hosting of the Liberal Airfare 2025 at the Liberal Airport and Museum on October 4th, 2025, as requested. I think that'll be good enough. The other things of the request and the fencing, that's something that I assume Brian's later gonna get that quote put together, bring back. It'll be something that'll be approved later through that process. It sounds like law enforcement, fire department, everybody else is kind of on plan to get that done, and then like Kelly said, he'll get this plan to the committee so they can approve that and get that in place, and that'll take care, hopefully, of everything that the FAA requires as well. So, just a simple motion approving the Liberal Airfare 2025 on October 4th, 2025 should be fine.
And we anticipate the cost of the fencing would be around $30,000. So when we get all of those quotes together, we'll get the funding source and bring it back to the commission at that time, as well as the official emergency plan for approval.
Okay.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve the hosting of the Liberal Airfare Show 2025 on October 4th, 2025.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Warren. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Okay, thank you guys.
We're looking forward to it.
I think this will be a great event to bring back to Liberal.
Yeah,
Thank you for all the work you're putting into it. Moving on to item number 8, ordinance number 4630, rescind ordinance number 4619 for the establishment of Larry and Hickory Streets Doll Addition, RHID.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. So we had discussed at the January 14th commission meeting to revisit the development plan with G&G Developments. And in order to do so, we would need to repeal the ordinance that was passed prior to this. So that's what this ordinance will do.
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we approve ordinance number 4630, rescinding ordinance number 4619, the establishment of Larry and Hickory Street Doll Addition, RHID.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Parsons and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. We'll move on to item number 9, resolution number 2428, set the public hearing for the RHID, Larry and Hickory Streets Doll Addition.
So this sets the hearing for the RHID for Larry and Hickory Streets. So we have plenty of time. We will put a publication out. It has to be at least 30 days to set the public hearing. So it'll be at the March 11th meeting. And at that time, you can look at a new development agreement.
make a motion adopting resolution number 2428, set a public hearing for March 11th, 2025 at 5:30 PM to discuss the adopting of a new ordinance development plan agreement for the RHID for Larry and Hickory Street development in the Dahl addition.
Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor Landry and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Now we'll move on to item number 10, the 2024 Grants Annual Report.
Okay, so this is just an update for the commission to know what we've applied for this year. We've applied for 17 and awarded 11. Total applications were 13,400,000. Only the grants awarded for my side, Keeley has done some others, was 1,754,000. We do have some outstanding that may still be awarded this year, so we're just waiting on those to come out and see. And that'll be Water Office for 6.7 million and the Historical Society for 100,000. And ongoing grants are the BJA Drug Court Grant, which we're applying for again this year. And that one's been ongoing for 4 years. The USDA Housing Preservation Grant, and that's a small one for 60,000, and we've been rehabbing homes for low-income applicants with that one. The Moderate Income Housing Grant is on the Holly Ridge Edition in the amount of 650,000, and that's ongoing until that is finished. The KDOT Bus Facility Grant is, I believe, going to get off the ground this year, and we do have a meeting with them tomorrow. The bus administration and operating will usually come out in February or March, so then we'll know what we get for that. And then in other things is the opioid settlement funds and the rural housing incentive districts that I'll work on.
And then for some of the grants I worked on this last year, we had 3 total applications and all 3 were awarded. The total funds brought in was $1,983,285, covering project costs at more than $2.1 million. And so when you look at the percentage of those project costs that are covered by grants, those 3 grants together hit 92.5% of the total costs. So together between me and Karen, 2023, she had applied for 48 grants and had 21 awarded for a total of $2.4 million in 2023. This year we had $3.7 million that we brought in between the two of us. We had 20 applications and 14 were awarded.
Okay. No, I think it's amazing to continue to bring in those federal and state dollars. And I think this was a wide range as well. We have some quality of life issues and then some major quality of life issues being addressed. So thank you guys for everything you've been doing. Okay, moving on to item number 11, city manager's contract. This one's interesting. Technically, I should hand it over to you, but I'll let Lynn actually take this one over.
All right, at the direction of the city commission, I prepared a contract which I believe outlines the terms and conditions that was relayed to me by the commission. I sent that to Scarlett about a week or so ago. She reviewed that, got it back. Was it, I think, in agreement with the conditions?
Yes.
And it's in front of you all to take action upon today. If you do, it will basically backdate to the start of her employment for January 1 of this year, which was kind of, I think, the agreement or what everybody was wanting to have done in this case. I did check with Angelica. She said that the terms in there were going to cause her no problems on her end regarding doing that. as well as the other things regarding vacation, accrued sick leave, things like that, and then also with the Capers deferred retirement part of it. So it's exactly as the commission discussed with me, and if we're going to approve this, we would need to have a motion to approve the contract as presented. And then just kind of inquire of Scarlett to make sure if there's anything on there that she has concerns with, and make sure that she approves it as well and that she's agreeable to it.
Any concerns?
I am agreeable to it. I want to thank the commission for giving me this opportunity to lead my hometown of Liberal. I appreciate it very much. It's almost a career that kind of chose me. I never saw myself doing this. A couple of years ago, I've always been in the realm of finance, but that's going to help me greatly. It has helped me greatly. I've made a lot of great relationships here in the last 2.5 years, and we just want to keep it going. So just build on the momentum.
I'll make a motion that we approve the contract as printed.
I second.
A motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Vice Mayor Landry. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you
Yeah.
very much.
And thank you very much for all the work you've done and all the work you'll continue to do.
You're very welcome.
Moving on to item number 12, the Ortuño Housing Addition change order.
Okay, on the change order, Mayor and Commissioners, for the Ortuño Housing Addition, in your packets is a little bit of information. We're rehashing some things that we talked about last November. This change order number 1 combines 2 areas that need to be addressed. The first one being corrections and deletions resulting from the water meter discussion back on November the 26th, as well as an addition of inlet box for storm sewer needs. I have Gary Geist here from Earls Engineering, where he can discuss in detail any questions that you may have regarding this. But overall, this will make the new contract price with Ortuño's $1,650,751.32, which is $5,359 lower than the originally approved amount. So I will have him answer any questions you may have or go over the details of that change order.
I'll let you start, Ron. You have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I looked it over. I think most of it's all stuff we've talked about. Maybe the inlet box size, but it was explained. So I don't have any questions, really.
No questions? Okay.
Of course, it went down too, so that makes it easier.
That's always easier to approve, isn't it?
But everyone
Okay.
is on board as well with the city doing the taps, and there's no concerns on that issue?
No. Everything's been ironed out. Contractor's gonna put in the main line, fire hydrants, fittings, test it. Once it's tested and approved, then it'll be signed off to the city, and then the city can come in anytime and do the taps for the service lines, run the line to the meter, and then when the house is built, he'll tap into the meter from the house. The city will, so.
Okay. And so we have decided to go ahead and put the meters now, the taps and the meters in already?
No, well,
Well, we
originally,
will.
yes.
Right, because I know that was one of the concerns they did have is, do we run those and then have the meter boxes kind of sitting there while construction is still happening? Or do we wait till it's all done, but then the water line will be covered and we'll have to trench it?
Right. Now it'll just be up to the city. They'll have all the materials. If the streets should be put in by the time the houses are being developed, so if they need to bore under the street, or if they can open cut it in the alley, whichever, it's up to the city how they want to do it.
Okay.
I guess I do have one question, because I was reading the wording. So it does say in there, the City of Liberal Water Department shall be responsible to provide and install service lines, water meters, meter pits, tappings, and so on and so on. But that's after the contractor goes down and pays for
Yes,
the, okay,
yes.
okay.
Okay.
And one thing that I mentioned to Scarlett that I'll go ahead and add, so you guys are aware of, due to lowering, it's item number 3, where I added, to exchange shorter box for a taller box to get underneath the storm sewer. Well, doing that puts the discharge lower in the pond. And so in doing that, our concrete quantity is gonna be about cut in half. That's gonna be poured around the discharge of the pipe into the pond. So we'll have a little more credit, but I'd like to keep that credit off of this in case we need additional riprap or something for erosion control before the project's over. So if we don't end up needing that, then I'll go ahead and do a change order and do a deduct on that amount as well. But it's about $2,200. So.
Sounds great.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'll make a motion that we approve change order number 1 for the Ortuño Housing Addition.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 13, bid and progress update for Resolution 2398 and the abatement of 809 North Pennsylvania.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm here to update you on the progress of 809, and since we last met on this one, there has been no progress. He hasn't done anything, and we had a bid for $12,000 when you approved the demo back in June of '23, and that guy is no longer in service. Our second bid was for $15,500, $3,500 more, and I'm asking if you'll approve that bid for the demo, and I'll have the guy on site February 14th.
We sent the letter, I'm guessing, did we get a response on that letter at all?
We've been going email back and forth,
Yeah.
and I sent all that in your packets where we
Yeah.
conversated back and forth, and he said that he was gonna get all his certifications, but there's no way.
Yeah, got it.
I mean, if he shows up the 13th and he has all his certifications in hand, well, we may think a little bit, but it's not gonna happen.
So I saw in the packet, saw some back and forth, Lynn, between you and James, and are we
Yeah,
okay?
so just to reiterate kind of what James said, when this was first addressed with the commission, which was some time ago, notice was all done correctly. The gentleman approached the commission set some deadlines to work with him. He kind of did some things to start with, then there was a deadline of, I think it was April the 10th, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, sir.
April the 9th, something like that. Didn't comply, nothing happened. James reached out to me about 3 weeks ago, said, hey, what do we need to do, or a month ago, what do we need to do? And I said, well, technically you don't have to do anything, you go take care of it right now, but to make me feel better, try to give him notice, give him some kind of a timeline to try to comply with. I think you said February 14th.
30 days from the
Yeah,
date that
and I said that was fine, because I think that's going above and beyond what's required. We're talking about tearing out someone's personal property, I'd rather err on the side of caution.
Sure.
So, like James said, if this gentleman approaches him on the 13th and said, this is what I've got done, he may give me a phone call, but absent that, the extra notice that they've done, I'm comfortable allowing the procedure to go forward. And like James said, the bid from that gentleman, he said he stood by it and said he would still do it for that. So right now, we're to the point where we would need a motion to approve the bid as presented for him to proceed on the 14th, I think, of February, 15th of February, soon thereafter. And if the gentleman comes in and has what he needs to have done before then it's understood. I think it's understood internally that we'll put it on hold. But for the time being, I don't think that's very likely, since nothing's happened since.
You're saying he's getting, like, certifications for heat and air, plumbing, and electrical, or what?
Well, that is past the point. The certification will have to be a general contractor
to demo the house, because we're done past fixing the house. He's already missed all that.
In the email, he mentioned he could try and find someone certified to do it for a lot less than our current.
What you're saying, somebody,
So,
okay, yeah.
He did say he was having some health issues, though, correct? Something about surgery, so is that a limitation of stopping him maybe from coming up here, or?
That's
I
what
just
he-
wanted more clarification. 'Cause
That's what he had said last year when he was in here, that he was having some health issues, but that wouldn't stop him, that he was on the mend. At that time, he was on the mend and was gonna.
But
he'd
if
already
you've had
done-
health issues, and then, from April till, what, October, nothing, no email, nothing saying, hey,
So he hasn't responded.
nothing. And then again till January, till I had Dawn reach out to him because she had his email, and then he responds. So,
But in the meantime, the April 10th deadline, he didn't meet what we had set for at that time, correct?
yes. And to begin with, he actually didn't even meet the hearing, because, I mean, it was already passed. He went past the 20 days to appeal for the hearing, yet then he didn't even do a proper hearing. He calls Rusty and tells Rusty, hey, I want to fix this. And then Rusty comes and says, hey, stop it. So it wasn't even a proper hearing.
I think the city's been more than reasonable.
More than
Lenient than they needed to be.
I
Like
just
said,
had to
if it-
ask, because I saw the,
With-
you know,
yeah,
in my
with-
conscience, I
Yeah.
had to ask.
Like I said, I told James, if you'd have contacted me on April the 10th of 2023, I'd have said, go take care of it, and we wouldn't be here. But I mean, since he waited, probably trying to be halfway nice, and that's where we're at now.
Yeah.
It's just,
You know, I got a conscience too. That's why I reached out to
Yeah.
him, and it's not on the ground right now. Like, I followed through with what Lynn said to do.
So our only action needs to be is to approve the
Approve the bid.
15.5, right? Because the resolution already exists.
yeah,
right?
that's already done. It's already been authorized. We just need to have the bid approved so that way he can go forward with the demolition.
I'll make a motion that we approve the bid of $15,500 for the demolition of 809 North Pennsylvania.
I second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Vice Mayor Landry. I was doing good the whole way.
I saw that, and then it was.
Any further discussion?
Should I add M&S demolition? I was looking for it there, but
I'm sorry?
should I add accept the bid of M&S demolition?
Yeah, you can add that to the
Okay.
motion, it's fine.
Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
See
you.
in a few minutes.
Moving on to item number 14, ordinance number 4629, special use permit for 624 North Grant Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, the ordinance for the special use before you, a little back history, 624 North Grant, which is old USD 480 offices, was purchased by Ford Custom multiple years ago. It is zoned residential. They attempted at the time to rezone it to commercial so they could use it for what the building is designed for. The rezone was shot down. There was a lot of public grumbling and nobody wanted it rezoned. After that, Fort Custom came back and applied for a special use permit to run their construction company out of the building. That special use permit was approved. They have renovated a portion of the building and they're running their construction company out of it. That special use permit has the condition on it that it is for the construction company. They came to me and said they had a good portion of the building that was sitting empty and they wanted to set up some offices and rent out. They had a lady that wanted to do eyelashes in an office, maybe a lady to do taxes in an office so they can utilize some of the building instead of it just sitting empty. I spoke with city attorney And there is no issue with having two special use permits for the same property because they lay out different conditions for each one. So this special use was taken before the Planning and Zoning Board on January 9th, and they voted unanimously to forward it to you for approval for the special use for professional services such as would be put in by the owners.
I'm assuming that notices went out to the neighbors.
Yes,
And I don't
published.
see any neighbors here, so.
Legal publishing was done, notices were mailed out as is required by state statute. We received one or two questions. We did not receive any negative references to it. Nobody come in and complained and said, I don't want to see that.
Just on the history, I happened to be sitting in the public when this one came up. I think that was an election year. Have there been any complaints about the construction or any of that situation that people were kind of concerned about?
I have received no complaints about them operating out of that office since they have been operating out of that office.
And just for more history, for anyone who wasn't here, they didn't want it commercial because the neighbors did want some control over what kind of business would go in there. So the special use permit exists so that if this business ever goes out of business or moves out and someone else wants to turn it into whatever commercial business, well, another special use permit would have to be issued, and then the neighbors would have some say of what's happening in that neighborhood.
Okay.
So I think this was a good, I know some people were still a little unhappy, but probably now that it was a good, what's the term? Negotiation, I guess.
Nice.
I think everyone's pretty happy with the agreement that we came to.
This also does kind of match, we've been going through the comprehensive plan redo, and their thing is zoning needs to focus more on place versus space. Right now, our zoning is very space-oriented. We want to know what you're doing inside the building, and that's how we're going to determine all of our zoning, by what you're doing inside the building. And cities of the future are getting more of the feel for the area. What does the outside place feel like, as opposed to regulating so hard on what's inside the building? So I feel this special use does kind of follow the direction that we're getting going with our new comprehensive plan that's in the works.
Any other questions or concerns?
I'll make a motion that we approve ordinance number 4629, special use permit for 624 North Grant Avenue.
Second?
I have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Moving on to item number 15, resolution number 2427, abatement of substandard conditions at 515 North Pershing Avenue.
Good evening again. This property we've been mowing for 6 years plus, and we've had break-ins, and we've had the place boarded up. We haven't got paid for none of the mowings back, and we probably aren't gonna get paid for boarding it up either. And that was $1,200, I think. And it's in poor condition. If you can see in the pictures, the foundation is bad, and it's just kind of sore eye. So we'd like to get that taken care of and knocked down. We got a bid for $16,200. The other one was quite a bit more than that, but this is our lowest bid, and we'd like you to accept that. And once it's passed, I'll take and post it on the house, and we'll wait 3 weeks. 2 weeks, 15 days, but we may wait a couple more days after that.
So this item is to be to approve the resolution and to accept the bid?
I think you have to do two different, you pass the resolution,
then accept the
2427. Then after that, in the event they have to go forward with the, raising of the property to approve the M&S demolition bid of 16,200.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2427, the abatement of substandard conditions at 515 North Pershing Avenue.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Parsons and a second by Commissioner Warren. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes.
And you said a separate motion then, right? I'll make a motion that, in the event that we carry on with the abatement of this property, that we accept the bid from M&S demolition in the amount of $16,200.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion?
I'm gonna guess since we haven't been paid for any mowing or boarding it up, that we'll probably eat this one as well, right?
Yes, we will, probably. I'm thinking we ought to do a quick deed with the county and just take it, take the land. And just to give you guys a heads up, there's some other ones that we've been working on. There's one that I asked Jonathan to head up, 408 North Lincoln. It's right south of Tobias Park. And we got called over there because the homeless, or some squatters was in the back house and running extension cords onto the business next door. We had that place boarded up, but he went to town on it. He sent letters out. He talked to the owners. They're demoing it themselves. So that's $26,000 that we don't have to pay out of pocket.
Nice.
But we're overlooking the project and they're doing it to our standards. So, thank you very much.
Any discussion from the public? All in favor?
Sorry to derail that.
All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Thank you.
Train of thought there for a second.
Moving on to item number 16, reappointment for Jeff Hall to the Planning and Zoning Board.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, we had two of our Planning and Zoning Board members whose terms expired this year. Ms. Mona Lisa Arredondo decided not to seek reappointment and decided to let her term expire. Mr. Jeff Hall did apply and was voted to retain his seat by the Planning and Zoning Board, so it's back before you to vote if you wish to retain him in a seat for a period of 3 years on the Planning and Zoning Board.
I'll make a motion that we reappoint Jeff Hall to his seat on the Planning and Zoning Board for the term of 3 years, expiring December 31st of 2027.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Vasquez and a second by Commissioner Warren. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Now we will move on to item number 17, Housing Programs Update.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, at the last meeting, Scarlett brought up that I believe we're gonna try and get each of these housing programs before you every year in December to decide to continue on for the next year. This was a little behind the 8 ball because we just made this decision. But I brought before you each of the 1 cent sales tax housing grant programs the city runs with a couple of modifications and a couple of new additions. They're listed on there as A through H, letters A through H. I don't know if you want to make a motion and vote to continue for each one and accept any changes for each one. We can go over them one at a time if you would like. The sheet at the beginning of it has a list of each of the programs, and any changes or modifications are highlighted in yellow on that sheet. And then under each one, we put the program guidelines and the applications for you to view. So if you'd like, we could start with letter A, the first-time homebuyer grant, and make a motion on that one, and then move on to the next one, and so on.
I think we can kind of go over them, but we'll just make one motion at the end, no? For all grants as presented?
Yeah, unless you're wanting to change anything specifically, and then you'd probably have to
Go in
change
and make
that.
that change.
Yeah, train of
So yeah,
thought.
let's just review them all, and if there's any questions or concerns, then we'll address it at that time.
Okay, we have the first-time homebuyer grant, letter A, which, people that meet the income limits and meet the requirement that they haven't purchased a home can get a $3,000 grant to help with closing costs and stuff. Over the last 7 years, we have averaged approximately 50 applicants a year that the city has helped out of the one-cent sales tax through this program. We don't have any proposed changes to this one. It's working good. I think it should continue, especially with all of the new houses being built. You know, we're gonna have more first-time home buyers probably with the influx of single-family homes. If we move on to letter B, the home repair program, which we have utilized, people can come in and get a $3,000 grant for weatherization of their home, or exterior enhancement of their home, or emergency repair of their home. The program was originally for senior citizens and families with disabilities. The last time we went over these programs, we included very low-income homes. If you'll notice on here, I've added to add veterans, anybody who was honorably discharged from the military, to apply for this. They also have to own their home, their taxes have to be paid up. So I would like to add veterans in that. I also, because this comes out of the 1 cent sales tax, which is not property tax, but sales tax, people in our extraterritorial who we issue building permits to and zoning, they need help maintaining their property as well. They pay probably the same amount of sales tax as somebody that lives within the city limits. I would like the opportunity to extend this program to anybody that meets the qualifications that lives in the 3-mile extraterritorial zone we have adopted, which would be the same senior citizens, veterans, and very low-income families.
This one's not a question for you, it's one for Lynn. With the current removal of that 3-mile radius, if we put this here and it happens to pass in the legislature, which probably wouldn't matter because it won't go into effect till next year anyway, but us having that in there, will it
Yeah, it would be-
invalidate it? Can we still leave it in?
If they pass to get rid of the 3-mile zone, then by the state passing that, then all of your 3-mile zones would just disappear. So then people living there wouldn't qualify anymore because there is no extraterritorial zone.
Okay.
But I mean, we're obviously.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
just starting, so.
Yeah, it could happen. The talk's starting, but I think most of that stuff takes a little bit more time to get traction than the first year. But I mean, I see the emails on it as well, so they're at least concerned that it might pass.
They have tried getting rid of that 3-mile extraterritorial the last 2 years in a row, and it has failed in committee both years, so.
Okay. Let's hope that continues, but,
Yeah.
no, I'm happy to, include them on that.
Also, I don't know, the home repair, over the last 7 years, we have averaged 58 applicants per year that we have helped through that program. The next program, letter C, is the Paint the Town program. I'll start with, that has averaged 47 people a year we've helped. People can come in and get a paint voucher, which allows them to go into a store, hand over the voucher, and purchase that amount of paint to paint their house. Their taxes have to be paid current. There's not any income limits on this one, so anybody can apply for it, but they cannot have applied within the last 5 years. We have increased the amount. It was $350 paint voucher per person. We increased it to $500 with, inflation. We also, for years, it was Sherman-Williams was the only vendor that would deal with us on this. We've added in, Mead Lumber has agreed to do it, and Westlake Ace Hardware has agreed to do it. So those would be the changes to that one, is upping the voucher amount from $350 to $500, and just 2 more vendors that are allowed. Letter D, the new construction incentive for single-family homes. We have a lot of single-family homes under construction right now. We have actually only averaged 6 homes per year over the last 7 years that this has been paid out on. We did just up it to $7,500 per new single-family home year before last, and I see no reason to raise that. That seems like a decent incentive to build a new home.
Do we have a budget on this? On each of these, I'm assuming have a line item, and once we reach that, we're done for the year,
Yes.
unless we go back and approve more money, right?
So
It's just like the facade grant.
the builder's incentives are in one budget line, and then the rest of the housing programs fall under a separate budget line, and there's money in each for that. It is the point, if we hit the end of that, we would have to come before the commission and ask for more, or it would be first come, first served for that year. We'd just have to cut it off at that point.
When does that get paid? Is it at the end?
With the
There was some
occupancy?
discussion years ago when we
After the
talked about
final
this.
inspection, I believe, I
Well,
mean, you have to
yes,
apply.
there has to be a
Karen-
certificate of occupancy, issued for the home, so it is occupiable 100% complete.
So does it go to the buyer or go to the
It
contractor?
goes to the owner of the property, so it's who is having it built. So if I own a lot and I have Ronnie build a house, I caused the house to be built, so I would get it.
Right.
If Ronnie is building a spec home on a lot he owns, he could, once it's certificate of occupancy is issued, he could apply for it and then sell the house to me. So it's who is owning the lot and having the house built.
Yeah. So in a sense, we're giving another incentive to the developer, because a lot of these homes that are gonna be built as spec homes. So, you'd be adding $7,500 to $5,000, right? So you're looking at $12,000, $12,500 per home on a spec house, right?
Where did the 5 come from?
Well,
The multifamily?
no, we changed it. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah,
No,
my bad.
no, it's just the 75. It was 5 for the single family,
Okay.
and we upped it to 7,500
Okay.
year before
Okay.
last. And then, letter E under that, we have a new construction incentive for multifamily, which has not been utilized that I could find any records. There is money put in there if somebody wants to build multifamily housing. Wait, I take that back. We did give out like 2 of these. But if somebody wants to build multifamily housing, it is $5,000 per unit within the housing, so.
Now, I do know with the RHIDs, we are in a way incentivizing the land purchase and then whatever they end up building on that area. Because the RHID will pay back that land purchase. So hopefully, though, they're using that to reduce their cost for the final house sale, but some may not.
Yeah, that's what you'd hope.
Yeah, yeah,
In practice, that's probably not what happened.
potentially.
So we'll move on to letter F, the Water Improvement Waiver Program. This has gone on for multiple years, and this is just so senior citizens can come in and get a waiver. They can apply and get the extra $6.25 fee for water improvement waived from their water bill to kind of help out senior citizens. This is kind of a housekeeping one. For some reason, the age limit and the income limit was different than all of our other senior programs. And so we put in there to make the age limit and the income limit the same as the other senior citizen programs we have through the 1 cent sales tax in this. That's the only change to that one. Letter G, the Safe at Home program. For years, the Safe at Home program has allowed homeowners to come in and be able to receive free carbon monoxide detectors and free smoke detectors for their home. It is a limited number. We do keep track of which homes get them. After the last tornado we had, there was discussion that tornado sirens are meant to warn people outside to go find shelter. There isn't really a notification system for people inside their homes. I did a little research, and we could purchase NOAA weather radios for approximately right at the same cost as we're purchasing smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. And I would like to purchase some NOAA weather radios on that and add to where each household, if they wished, could come in and receive a free NOAA weather radio, that if the weather got bad, they could turn it on and it would alert them if there was a tornado in the area. That's the change there. Lastly, I have letter H, which is a brand new one. We just called it the fence program. And speaking with Tara from the animal shelter, we were discussing one day, this program would look at giving people a grant to repair or build a fence. The requirements would be they would have to adopt a dog from the Liberal Animal Shelter. They would have to own their home, they would have to meet income requirements, which wouldn't let this apply to anybody, and their taxes would have to be paid current. In the program guidelines, it says that it has to be something like a chain link fence, a wood picket fence, or, we're not gonna allow chicken wire. We're gonna have decent looking fences. So if you drive around town, there's fences in disrepair. If you drive around town, there's stray dogs that can't be kept in because the fences are in disrepair. Tara and I brainstormed this together and came up with, this incentivizes people to adopt animals from our shelter. This incentivizes people to beautify their property by improving their fences, and it should reduce the number of stray dogs within the city of Liberal.
That'd be nice.
So we kind of put this before you as an idea of something to do with the 1 cent sales tax funds for grants.
I got a couple of questions. One, what's the limit on this? Because, a cedar picket fence, it's pretty expensive.
We put the limit at $3,000, which was the same as the home repair programs, to kind of keep everything uniform across the deal.
And with money for a fence repair, how do you monitor that? I mean, how do you know whether the repairs actually get done?
Well, we probably, like the home repair program, we would require any work in this to be done by a contractor. So like the home repair program, we don't allow, Ronnie's a senior citizen. He wants to come in and apply for the home repair. We're not gonna let him replace his own sewer line at his house. As part of the program, we're gonna verify the work was done and then pay the invoice after the work is done.
What sort of a budget have you got?
So to add a little budgetary color, the building incentive reimbursement, that's where a lot of the money exists. Because of our stance towards wanting to build new housing, we have a budgeted line item of $1,175,000. In housing programs, which all of these, other than the builder's incentive, fall under that, we have a budgeted line item of $250,000. With that said, though, budgetary authority is what it is. Even though we have those line items set at that, at the end of the year, if we're still under budget in the fund in general, we would still be okay. Because it's very aggressive to want to budget $1,175,000 for.
So A through H have a budget of $250,000,
Yes,
and I'm assuming you could.
you can. So if we're under in one and over in another, that's okay, as long as the fund is under in the end. We receive about $750,000 in sales tax annually into this fund. So,
And that's the one you said currently has 1.1 million in it?
yes, I just checked it, it does have.
And that's unencumbered?
Yep. really any of the projects that we have coming out of community development are in their final state, so we don't have anything encumbered at the time, so.
Nice.
Any of the programs, if I didn't answer anything good enough, Erica is here, who handles and doles out the money and oversees all of the program applicants and everything. Tara also showed up to show her support for the fence program, because she believes it will, reduce the number of stray dogs and maybe incentivize people, instead of going to a puppy mill, to adopt a dog from the shelter.
The Save at Home program doesn't have any age requirements or income requirements, or?
He just has to be a resident in Liberal.
Just have to be a resident. Now, we are giving out,
Are you putting a limit on that then?
yes, we have a limit. We'll give you one per story right now, which technically, if you don't have any smoke detectors in your house, we're giving you, you have a slab house, single story, we're gonna give you one smoke detector. By code, you should have multiple smoke detectors even in a single story, because you're supposed to have one in each sleeping room, one out immediately outside of each sleeping area, one outside of bathrooms, and then one per story. So, a house can have, by code, require 5 or 6, and we're giving one.
Okay, that's why I was wondering if there's a limit. 'Cause
And we have turned it, like we had written in there, because we've had landlords come in to get them, and we said, no, you have to own the home and live in it like the rest of the programs.
I like that.
All right. Any other questions on any of the programs?
I got one.
Sure.
When you say senior, is it, like this one program is 60 years, is that across the board, 60 years old for all the senior programs?
Yes.
Okay.
And didn't we work to align that age with other
Yeah.
programs to make sure it's consistent across all?
That's like, the water improvement fee was at like 62 years old, and this one was at, the home repair was at 60, and so we shifted the water improvement down to 60 to match the home repair.
I remember once seeing one at 55.
Everybody considers seniors different,
Yeah.
depend on, but we're just consistently across the board.
We met and discussed it, and it's just easier to remember that way, it's easier to publicize that way, so.
Okay. Any other questions? From any other staff as well?
Who put the basset hound on the thing, on the posters? My favorite, because that's my favorite dog. I own a basset. The minute I saw it, I was like, yes, that's awesome. I just had to throw that out there.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to accept the housing program grants as presented.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the housing grants A through H as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Vice Mayor Landry and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes. Thank you guys for your work on this.
Yeah, good job.
Moving on to number 18, crack seal and chip seal bid.
Mayor, Commissioners, on January 15th, we accepted bids for the 2025 crack and chip seal program for the city of Liberal. The only bid received, which has been like this for the last 20 years, was from B&H Paving out of Scott City, Kansas, for an amount of $621,025, which came in below the engineer's estimate. Staff recommends accepting the bid from B&H Paving for the 2025 crack and chip seal program in an amount not to exceed $625,000. And if this is approved, he would like to start Thursday.
Oh, wow.
Oh, God.
That's fast.
Does weather play a part? The cold, does it, because it's, right now it's in the 20s every night.
But you,
not
you
cold.
want the cracks, the
Is he-
colder it is, the wider they are.
Okay, that makes sense.
Is he canceling the rain though, or?
No, that stuff sets up really fast.
I'm okay if the rain's canceled, but.
In what area will this be affecting this year?
So this will be from Kansas Avenue East, from Trail to Birch, which is the very last street. So it'll encompass, McDonald's, Mary Frame Park, Seymour Rogers, all that south back to the railroad tracks.
Okay.
And then the next year, we'll move
To this side.
to the other side of Kansas Avenue.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid of B&H paving for the 2025 crack and seal program in an amount not to exceed $625,000.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Vasquez. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? All in favor? All opposed? 5-0. Motion passes. Moving on to item number 19, Willow Tree Pro Shop remodel. Steve?
Mayor, Commissioners, so I'm just going to give you a quick update on the Pro Shop remodel at Willow Tree Golf Course. We have completed a lot of the demo work. We've got footing set up for furniture to come in. We've done all painting and patching, updated lighting, and have flooring that's been on order, a little delay on that. So last year, and probably even before that, we have talked about updating the golf course inside the Pro Shop. It's been many years since anything is done inside there. And it's a large space that provides for other functions for meeting and holding tournaments and holding group events in that area. So we put a plan together and set aside $50,000 from the golf course budget, and we've got to that point. So we have spent $49,053.94 of that budget, and so I have a proposal to continue that project, to finish it out. We had talked about seeking additional funding, which is what we're asking for tonight. On top of that, we went out for a grant, which received a $5,000 to update our to go towards updating our restrooms to ADA, which is something that we were fortunate to get. So you have that in your packet. It's broken down basically by area to finish out what we're doing. The amount comes to $35,350. Tonight I'm asking for $40,000, not to exceed $40,000, and for that to be paid from the community development portion of the 1 cent sales tax. I can answer any questions.
We have that available.
We do. We budget about $100,000 annually for project maintenance. And then obviously that is sharing a cash balance and budget authority with housing. But we do have it available. I do cushion in project maintenance in there so that we can do things like this. This is how we did the splash pads and a few other projects that are enjoyed by people in town. So
And community development, how much is in that fund?
that is the 1.1 million. It has 1,117,959.50. And it receipts about $750,000 annually.
I went out and looked at your project today, and after looking at it and thinking about it, I think I do have one concern that I think we ought to get a price on, which I've never looked the building over before, but found the return air grills in in a room, not in the large room.
He's addressed that.
Yeah, but it's not in this price yet though, right? We get a quote to put a tankless water heater, right, and move the return air overhead and
That's
bring it
a-
into the, I would really like to see us proceed to get that price, because I'm not sure how that was ever designed that way
So
before, but I don't think that's a good design.
It's not. And the floor drain in there is in a terrible position as well. With everything that we looked at, somebody had tried to put some sort of kitchen or cooktop back there. There's a hood vent, there's venting to the roof, there's 220 in the wall. So all indication is that somebody had tried something in the past and probably realized that
Ran into
the return is
problem,
a
right?
problem.
Yeah.
So, we had met with, the fire marshal, we've also met with Keith, and kind of discussed that earlier last week, and kind of came to the conclusion that it needed a second look. And so I had, Shannon Gilmore come out and look at it, and came up with a solution. I didn't want to put that in this proposal, because then that indicates that we're gonna move forward with, going down that food route, where we're gonna put in a vent with a suppression system, and that gets up to be another $15,000. Initially, we kind of had a number in mind, and then when this came up, we had to back off of that and kind of settle on where we are. Everyone I come in contact out there, is they want some sort of food option out there. And I'm not saying we have to have it open, 24/7 or anything like that, but it's when we have large events, when we have group events that happen out there, or even after somebody finishes a round of golf, they want to have a hot dog or a burger or something and sit down and have a beer. That's what it's designed for, and I encourage you all to come out and look at it. Because the city staff, specifically golf course personnel and our building maintenance guys, have put a lot of work into what you saw in the last couple of days. So on top of that, we do have an option. I have got a quote, and I'm not sure if you want to know what it is, but that is to put in the tankless system, moving the ductwork around like we talked about. So that comes to roughly $3,600. It's really nothing in comparison to the long-term benefits for anybody that's out there in events that we have.
That's what the quote is to do that? That's your quote to do that?
That's my quote that I got today.
Pretty cheap.
That is very cheap.
Includes the tank?
They're calling, yeah.
That's-
calling
Tankless
right now.
water heaters aren't that much.
Well, yeah, but
It's your insulation
just
that costs you more.
the work of moving that around and taking that return air through
Well-
above that ceiling and back out into that other ceiling, that's included?
Right, and so that would, the way it was described to me, it's not that hard to do. It's really blocking off the one that you see that goes directly into the system, opening the back end, letting that natural air flow. The air that comes back into the furnace and also into the water heater is what it's using. You eliminate the water heater, any of the airflow through that. That's what you get the tankless one for. And then that air goes back through the ceiling, and then you have two vents on the outside where the pro shop side is, and you eliminate the other ones that
You
are on the
don't-
floor. So,
You don't have to close it off, it can just free flow. because
correct.
you got
That's
rid
the
of
way it was described to me.
Got rid of the water tank vent.
Right.
Allows you to do that.
And so without having all the details and how it all works and just getting the quote today, it was not something that I was gonna present to you with any real viable solution. It is an option that I think that we're gonna explore.
If we went 50,000 today, do you think you would be able to get it within that budget?
So I know I will. I mean, I've managed the budget to what it is right now, and knowing that was what we were gonna get to, and I'm under budget on that. My number, when I first put the proposal together to kind of finish out the whole project, was $52,000, or it's $52,000. Knowing that there's possibilities of $50,000 out there, but, being responsible with the money is big. I don't want to make any promises without exploring it a little further, to be honest with you. But I'm confident in the way that we work.
And we have a little bit budgeted back in the general fund for repair, maintain equipment or building that we could probably absorb a cost like that.
Yes.
When you're ready to bring it back, so.
And what that looks like is really, it's not just the tankless water heater, see if that works, because I think there's something to do with water softener that has to be involved, and obviously there's another expense that we haven't explored yet. The other issue is, like I said, the fire suppression system is not cheap. It's something that is, up $15,000, if not more. So these are things that we want to consider, but I don't want to make any promises that I can't keep.
But if you went ahead and did this part and held off the kitchen for a year and come back next year and do that, at least that part would already be done and out of the way.
Because all that would happen in that one room.
Yeah.
After you got rid of the return air vents, right? So, I mean, you could, so do we need to up, though, the 40 a little bit to make sure you get done with that part and then work on putting that room together later?
Better.
Yeah, in my opinion, it would be reasonable to go with 50. That was my thought process, was that we would do 50 out of the general and 50 out of the one cent
And you don't
sales
have to spend it all then if you
Correct.
don't want to.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that way you're not coming back and
Coming
saying,
back.
well, I really needed 43. So, yeah, I think that would be a good idea.
Want to make the motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that, let's see, we approve, another 50,000, or not to exceed 50,000, to complete the remodel, for the Willow Tree Golf Course, coming out of the community development portion of the 1 cent sales tax.
Second?
I have a motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? Any discussion from the public? Seeing none, all in favor? All opposed? 5-0, motion passes. Thank you, Steve. Moving on to item number 20, city staff.
I'll go. Okay, first off, I want to thank the street department guys, the parks guys, the building maintenance workers, the water department, anybody who has anything to do with snow removal. Because whether you see it or don't see it, when it's 3 o'clock in the morning and they're out doing that stuff, they're doing as much as they can. And also, you know, during these last 2 storms, we had a rear end go out of a truck that we had to have a junkyard go find us a rear end for. So we were down to 1 salt spreader, and I think they still did a phenomenal job. I mean, if you go down Main Street, they do every, you know, handicap ramp walking up to at the end of each block, and they ice it. And I mean, those guys work their tails off doing that, and it's cold and it's windy, and so they deserve a lot of credit. And if anybody would like to know our snow removal plan, they can just get a hold of me and I'll give them a copy of what we do, our arterial routes. We don't salt every street, we do intersections, you know, specific on the arterial routes. And when we get those done, we go around and hit the other spots. But we have to do those first. Okay, I'll get off that soapbox. Randall Pond, we ran into some permitting deals, so we're filing a new permit with the state of Kansas. And hopefully 60 days, maybe. Maybe.
I contacted the church to try and get a letter because they're part of it, and I have not heard back from them. I left messages, spoke to people, I have not heard back from them to get a letter to include with their, that gives us permission to stack the dirt on their land, so I'm
So
waiting
that
on them currently.
the state of Kansas is making us get a letter from the church that it's okay to stack the dirt on their property. And then we'll pay a small permit fee to to do that. This thing's been going on for about 14 years, it seems like, but it's been like 5, I think, at least. It's been a while.
We approved it on our very first meeting, when Jeff and I and Janeth got elected, so, it's been a little bit.
It's been a while. I don't think it'll take that long once we start moving dirt.
That'll probably be a little quicker, unless you find some of the cement or junk cars.
I wanted to just go move dirt, and Keith told me we probably shouldn't do that, so. We'll do it the right way. That's all I got.
Commissioners, we need to look at dates for a work session. It will be on the wastewater treatment plant and its financial plan, and also a 7-year capital improvement plan. We plan to have Pete and Gary attend, to give us numbers on the wastewater item. Are there any dates that do not work for you in February? That's our main thing, and we'll get with Earls Engineering and see what dates we can put together and schedule this work session.
I think the only date that won't work for me would be the 3rd, which would be Monday.
Yeah, that'd also be night out in Topeka, so the 3rd and the 4th. Then I'll be out the 12th through the 14th as well. Other than that, mine looks
I
fine.
think the 18th through the 21st, any day would be fine for me too.
I don't have anything.
Late next week, maybe?
We can probably have something together. I mean, I'm pretty well versed in the situation with the wastewater plant. I've met with Gary, I've met with Pete. We just need to make sure he could be here, because we need to discuss the financial plan forward on that. And he has a little bit of historical value in there that I was not present for, and about decisions that were made at the time, so. So we'll check with Pete and Gary and see what dates next week, and we'll give you guys.
Did you say next week?
And then we'll get that
February. Yeah, next week's February. Oh, yeah, it is, that's right.
I'd also like to add the board appointments to that meeting.
I won't be available the 5th, so that won't work for me.
So 6 or 7. Does it look okay for you?
Yeah, I think so. I got it working out of town a little bit next week, but I guess it depends on what time the meetings are, and I can work around it.
We will get with Earls Engineering on a schedule, and then I'll have Alicia reach back out.
Okay. Any other city staff? Keith?
Just quickly, I just want to give a kudos to Erica for all the hard work she put in on the housing programs and how she helps the residents of the city. Also, code enforcement, James and Jonathan and Daniel have been working very hard to help, remedy situations, but working with the citizens, and they're working very good. And since I came before you last meeting and told you about the new certifications, we've got a new one past that. Miss Dawn Rushton got her residential plumbing inspector. So the building department is working for the citizens, and just keep moving forward.
Okay, that's great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tara?
Real quick while I'm here. I don't know if you guys know, I applied for a grant again for 2025 to do the spay and neuter clinics, the low cost. Did I tell you guys that? Maybe not. Anyway, I got it and it's approved, so it's $48,000 from ASPCA, so we can do some low cost spay and neuter clinics. I'm working with the vet from Hayes that we used last year. She wants to continue, and we're setting up our dates. I think it's gonna end up being 2-day clinics, once a month for 8 months. I don't know what months they are yet, because we're working on dates, but that's our plan. So hopefully that'll help with the spay and neutering for the registering. this year, so just letting everybody know.
Perfect. No, that's amazing.
Good
Thank
job.
you.
Press release.
All right. Any other city staff? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 21, city manager's report.
Okay, so mayor, vice mayor, commissioners, I know this was a long one tonight, but I feel like we accomplished a lot when it comes to the business of the city. 2 times a month, it really isn't that much to sacrifice, so I appreciate your time. I have a lot of things to go over here really quick at the end. January is one of the toughest months that we go through from a financial perspective. We have to close the old year. From the accounting side, we have to open the new one. We have to get budgets out. We have to run the 1099s and do all of these fun things that all happen at the start of the year. So thank you to the finance department on their work on 1099s. That is a process. I tell you what, every year when I see them go through that, I don't envy them. I did it last year, so this is Kristen's first go-around edit, but those will be out to the qualifying vendors by tomorrow or Thursday. Also on a financial note, and I said this at the Focus on the Future meeting yesterday, I'm very happy to report that we received our first RHID distribution on the housing developments of which we are the developers. So it wasn't a huge amount of money. It was about $1,000 because we have to have these homes sold and moving forward. But I was thrilled because number one, it means we did the paperwork correctly. It means we set everything up accordingly. And just to see that come back gave me hope that, okay, this is working. What we have put into motion here will hopefully impact Liberal and its citizens for years to come and allow for some great growth. So I wanted to reassure you that that is working and it has started. I sat down with Angelica just this week and I'm very happy to report that we formalized the employee recognition program, and she's going to be here at the next commission meeting to present that to you guys. And we will start doing the awards after the first quarter. We're going to do one award every quarter. We hope that it will create some long-lasting and positive effects for our employees. And so we can't wait to release that to the public and get moving on that. I truly believe that when you take care of your people, they take care of your company. And so we are going to put those things in motion here right off the bat. Also, thank you to Kelly, Chet, Jeff, Brian, Bertha at the airport for their efforts in developing the emergency response plan for the airfare. We met just yesterday morning. Brad was involved, Alicia, Keely as well. And we did this on very short notice. We met, we discussed everything. Kelly had a plan together. He collaborated with the PD, and we had what you have in front of you within 24 hours. So we know we need to go through a formal process with that, but to see everybody collaborating and working together made me very happy, a sign of good things to come. And from a personal standpoint, I enjoyed many air shows and airfares growing up, and I'm very excited to see it come back as for a next generation to enjoy that type of thing. A couple of other things. I really enjoyed my time in Topeka last week for the Pancakes at the Capitol event. The last time I was in the Capitol, I was probably a 13-year-old page for the House of Representatives. So I was very happy to be there. Keely helped show me the ropes, and Jose was great, and we had a good time. We were able to network with different senators and representatives regarding all the great things that we have going on in Liberal. I will tell you that seeing our interactions with Watkins Public Strategies right there in motion and everything that they're doing for us and the doors that they're opening. We took several meetings with KDOT, with KDHE, with Kansas Housing Corporation. They got us in the door with several people. And I feel like our name is out there, that we are moving our community forward. I feel like we made great progress. So other than seeing invoices, I hadn't had a lot of interaction with Watkins Public Strategies. And so to see that in person live in the Capitol, it made me feel like, okay, this is money well spent and it's doing what it needs to do for the city of Liberal. So those are all the main things that I had for today. Just again, thank you to the commission for my contract. I will do the best that I can for you guys and for Liberal. So
Thank you, Scarlett. Moving on to item number 22, items from commissioners. Who wants to start?
I'll start. First off, I'm excited about being able to take the interim tag off of Scarlett's title. And you've done a great job in absorbing everything that had to be absorbed fast, and I'm excited about the opportunities that we're gonna have moving forward, so. And with a great amount of confidence in your abilities to get that done. Second, thanks to the grant staff. That's a big chunk of money that we were able to get in. And Keely and Karen, I know you guys are responsible for a lot of that, but I know other departments also do their part in that too. So congratulations and thank you for your work. Billing department, wow, I mean, you guys have really been killing it, and, becoming a more professional staff with the certifications and just the efforts of watching what's going on around town. Just appreciate everything that you've done. Snow removal group, I watched those guys work, and they really did do a good job, and I stopped by street department at least a couple of days after what they did, and thank them personally for that. And also Steve, thanks for what you're leading out at the golf course. I think that's gonna be a really nice remodel that gets used a surprisingly by a large amount of folks. So anyway, and then thanks to everybody else. We appreciate everything you guys do for the community. So real quick, that's all I have.
Vice Mayor Landry?
Okay, well, thank you to all city staff, of course. Congratulations, Scarlett, again. Good to see you move into that role at 100%. Not that you weren't at 100% prior to. Never a doubt that you don't give 100%. Once again, thank you for the clarity too, the reporting, the emails, and then just the high level of transparency and communication. It's great. To everybody who's putting in extremely hard work, I would piggyback off of Jeff and just everybody that he congratulate. Also, the road department, definitely a lot of snow removal over the last couple weeks. It was a mess. It was icy and it was gross. And I think we did a pretty decent job for the weather, how it just snuck up on us. So felt good about that. Look forward to seeing the golf course and where it goes. Really get out there and play some golf this year. So I'm really tickled to see what we've done with that. So really good stuff. Other than that, I think that's about it. Yeah, appreciate it, buddy.
Commissioner Warren?
Well, I guess there's nothing wrong with repeating things.
That's why we should go first.
Yeah, we should go. Congratulations, Scarlett. I'm really relieved that we didn't have to go through the process that I've been through a couple of times, and started feeling like if we would have gone through the process, we would have hoped we could find somebody like you. So it made it easy for us to do that, and we're hoping you're here for a long time, a lot longer than I'm gonna be here, I hope, but, congratulations, and I wanna thank staff, like Brad said, I'm guessing they did a good job. I cheated, I did get to see the airport staff work, hard Monday morning. I flew out of here at 11:17, Monday morning, and it was getting really bad then. I didn't know if I was gonna get to leave or not, but it was nice. It was clear when I got back, so I'm sure they had to work pretty hard because it was getting ugly fast. So, want to thank all those people for their hard work, and the airfare board and all of our staff, police department and fire department and airport, for wanting to make something like this available to the public, make something like this happen, because it is good to have these kind of things go on, and same with the golf course project, to take something that's been that way for a long time. We were talking dates earlier today, and it's been a while, so to see something different happen out there. But all the grants that were made possible, that are the staff's working on, that really helps us tremendously and helps this community, and we want to thank you for that. But so mostly just thanking staff and sitting back and enjoying watching things improve and grow and get better. It's fun to watch. That's all I have.
Well, I'd like to start off by officially congratulating Scarlett. I'm just so excited. I could probably sit here and spend hours telling everybody how I'm excited, but I do want to thank you for your great leadership, your transparency, and the great communication. I feel like we are all very well informed and are very confident in the decisions we make. The building department, you guys are also doing an outstanding job. I also want to give a shout out to Steve. I'm really excited for the golf course remodel. I really do think this is also going to improve the quality of life where we just have more things to do in our community. All of the departments with the snow removal, I know that I did get some questions about the process, but I do think it's people, they just want to get educated. But they were very well pleased with our response. But like you said, it's freezing cold. I mean, nobody wants to go out in that weather. So I do want to give a big recognition to the departments because it's not an easy job. Keely and Karen, thank you guys so much for all of your work with getting all those grants. It's just something amazing. And there's a combination of different grants, quality of life, tourism, different stuff. But we're just you guys are doing just such a good job. Keith and Erica, good job. You guys are also doing a really good job, especially with the housing program and all the grants. I do also see an elevated communication as far as like all of the different grants that are available. I honestly didn't know all of this was available through the city. So you guys are doing a really good job in educating anybody in our community. The organizers of the Airfare Show, I do want to give a shout out to them as well. I've been on boards and it's not easy. There goes so much implementation, so much planning. There's a lot of work that goes into organizing big events, and so I do want to give them a recognition because they deserve it. Along with the Liberal Police Department, the Fire Department, because you guys are doing a really good job in assisting and making this possible. And then Tara with the Animal Control, congratulations on your grant. That's really, really exciting. I shot a press release because I think you guys deserve the recognition. But overall, just thank you to all of the staff. You guys are doing an outstanding job, and it's truly an honor to sit on this side of the seat and just see you guys accomplish so many great things. And I'm very hopeful and look forward to all the great things we'll accomplish this year.
No, thank you. Congratulations, Scarlett. From day one, you jumped in. We put a lot of information on you from the beginning, and you still had a lot of the other roles you were handling at the time. In reality, thank you for taking the job, because you had 3 months to see everything it entailed, and you did it at a level where you are working together with your staff, but you're not passing off a lot of that work to someone else, so you are handling as much of it or involved in every project we have coming down the line. So I want to thank you for that, because a lot of people may think it's an easy job, and it can be an easy job if you have great people working around you, but if you also take some ownership in it, which everyone in the staff has really done a great job in taking ownership in what you're doing for the community. I think that's one of the number one things that a lot of people in the community don't realize is most of the people who work here, live here, have family here, and have a lot of buy-in in what's going on here. So, and then having you be homegrown, I don't think you're going to leave us anytime soon for a big city.
I don't plan on it.
So
I would like to stay as long as possible.
that's always great too. We are in a point where our community now has everybody in place, ownership in place, professionalism in place, where I think we're going to advance to a level never seen before, or maybe seen before, but maybe not to the level where even we now have contact through the state. We got to spend, what was it? Well, it was a full day in Topeka, literally from 7 until 8, 7 in the morning till 8 at night, talking to all the different departments. And many of these secretaries, the department heads, know Liberal and now know our names personally. They remember us from the times before. So if there's ever an issue happening that will affect Liberal, we have that line of communications with the rest of the state saying, hey, this is how it affects us, and this is where we need your help. And I think it's just been amazing to see that progress and that transformation. And then again, the only other part is education for the staff. I didn't realize, when I first, I had to be elected before I ever even bothered asking Why don't we put salt before the ice shows up? Well, there's enough rain coming down before it ices, well, you're gonna wash most of that salt away.
Yeah.
And if it snows, it'll cover it up. And so you don't know those things just because. So we probably need to have those reminders for the public as well and just get that information out there of where our process is, that we're gonna put sand and salt down on top of the intersections, just what's going on and let people understand why we don't do these things that sound like they have some logic, but then when you realize, oh no, yeah, that's a terrible idea. That's not gonna do anything. Get that information out there. But once again, communication has been better than ever. I think the community has a great sentiment, and for good reason, because we have amazing staff to help us get there. So I'll end it there, because, yeah, we could definitely go on for hours about everything that was done, discussed, and all the plans for the future. Thank you all for all you do. Item number 23, the vouchers.
I'll make a motion that we approve the vouchers in the amount of $1,926,313.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Warren and a second by Commissioner Parsons. Any further discussion? All in favor? All opposed? 5-0. We are adjourned. Thank you.